10 obscure 80s horror movies you've probably never heard of. The Seventh Curse, 1986. A wild Hong Kong horror fantasy, The Seventh Curse follows Dr. Yuan, who rescues a woman from a tribal sacrifice, only to be struck by a deadly blood curse. To escape, he plunges back into the Thai jungle and faces demonic sorcery, rubber monster horrors, and lethal cult magic. This film fuses kung fu, gore, and supernatural chaos with breakneck pacing and bizarre creativity. It isn't polished, but its unpredictable energy and outrageous effects make it a must-see cult classic for fans of weird 80s horror cinema. Celia, 1989. Set in 1950s Australia, Celia follows a young girl coping with grief, political tension, and disturbing fantasies that creep into her everyday life. After her grandmother's death, Celia becomes fixated on the mythical Hobyahs, blending childhood imagination with growing emotional turmoil. The film shifts from drama to quietly unsettling folk horror, exploring innocence, control, and fear. It's subtle, eerie, and haunting, a psychological tale that leaves a lingering unease rather than traditional scares. The Fan, 1982. Simone, a lonely teenager, becomes completely devoted to a pop singer known as R. She sends letters, imagines a future with him, and lets her life revolve around his image. When she finally meets him, his indifference shatters her world, pushing her into a darker state of mind. The movie starts quietly, but grows heavier as Simone's fixation turns dangerous. It's a cold and disturbing look at obsession, control, and emotional collapse. The Pied Piper, 1986. A plague of rats consumes the medieval town of Hamelin, and a cloaked musician arrives offering relief in exchange for a fair reward. His eerie stop-motion world is crafted with twisted architecture and puppet figures that highlight the town's corruption and greed. When the leaders refuse to honor their promise, the Piper delivers a ruthless answer. This adaptation transforms the familiar tale into harsh folklore, with a striking visual style and a cold moral edge. Born of Fire, 1987. A troubled flautist becomes tormented by strange melodies connected to ancient celestial forces. Guided by an astronomer, he travels to Turkey in search of the master flautist, a figure whose music may bring destruction. The film mixes myth, mysticism, and dreamlike imagery, creating a strange atmosphere that feels both personal and cosmic. It moves slowly, but its visuals and ideas leave a strong impression for viewers drawn to rare, experimental horror. Superstition, 1982. Set in a remote lakeside house once used for witch trials, the story follows a priest and investigators who examine a series of violent deaths tied to the property. A vengeful witch from the 17th century returns, striking anyone who enters the house with brutal force. The film mixes religious themes, practical gore, and a relentless sense of danger. It's straightforward, energetic, and remembered for its creative kills and grim, supernatural angle. Poison for the Fairies, 1986. Two young girls form an intense friendship after one of them, Veronica, claims to be a witch. Her stories begin as harmless fantasies, but Flavia becomes increasingly frightened as their games turn darker and more manipulative. What starts as imagination slowly shifts into control and fear, building toward a tragic final act. The film stands out for its strong performances, careful tension, and an ending that leaves a powerful emotional impact. Edge of Sanity, 1989. A respected doctor accidentally inhales ether mixed with cocaine, awakening a violent persona that stalks London's streets. The film merges elements of Jekyll and Hyde with hints of Jack the Ripper, following his collapse into addiction, desire, and brutality. Anthony Perkins delivers a tense and unpredictable performance that drives the entire story. The movie feels rough and sleazy by design, creating a grim descent into a fractured mind losing control. The Unholy, 1988. A priest survives a deadly encounter and is transferred to a parish marked by strange deaths, linked to a seductive figure who may be more than human. The story builds on themes of faith under pressure, temptation, and the limits of spiritual authority. Ben Cross delivers a direct, force-driven performance, supported by Ned Beatty and Hal Holbrook. Practical creature work gives the climax a striking physical presence, and the movie maintains a firm focus on its conflict between human weakness and a force that challenges every belief the protagonist holds. The Doctor and the Devils, 1985. In 19th century England, a respected anatomy professor resorts to body snatchers to supply cadavers for his medical lectures. When two grave robbers intensify their deliveries by murdering vulnerable locals, the line between science and atrocity vanishes. The film confronts the moral cost of medical progress and the corruption lurking behind closed doors. With strong performances and a grim atmosphere, it becomes a haunting exploration of greed, desperation, and ethical decay. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it. It would help me a lot. My name is Alex, and this is Scriptum Studio.